Welcome to the channel. If you're someone who loves history that breathes, science that inspires, and stories that connect the dots between the past and the plate in front of you, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Because today, we're traveling through time to explore how a small, waterlogged nation reshaped the entire world's way of growing, eating, and trading food. This is the story of the Dutch agricultural revolution, a story of windmills, tulips, vegetables, trade routes, and human ingenuity. In the 17th century, the Netherlands was not supposed to be a world power. It was a cluster of marshy lowlands carved out from the sea, a place where floods were more common than harvests. Yet from these wetlands emerged a civilization that learned to outthink nature instead of simply enduring it. The Dutch were surrounded by challenges, salt water creeping into fields, harsh winters, and limited land. But instead of surrendering, they turned necessity into invention. They built dikes to hold back the sea, drained swamps to create polders, and reclaimed fertile land where once only fish had swum. This constant battle with water trained them to think in systems, to see the farm not as a field, but as an ecosystem that could be engineered, measured, and perfected. By the early 1600s, the Netherlands had become one of the most efficient agricultural societies in Europe. While other nations still relied on traditional cycles and superstition, Dutch farmers studied soil, experimented with crop rotations, and built canals that turned their country into a living laboratory of food production. Their innovations fed not just themselves, but their booming trading empire. The transformation began with drainage and land reclamation. Thousands of windmills dotted the landscape, not just picturesque symbols, but machines that pumped water out of lowlands to make fertile farmland. These polders were marvels of engineering and sustainability. The soil, enriched by centuries of marine sediment, became some of the most productive land in Europe. Grain, cabbages, and turnips flourished. The Dutch learned to plant nitrogen-fixing crops like clover and peas between harvests, restoring fertility naturally long before chemical fertilizers existed. Then came the Green Revolution of the Golden Age. As Dutch merchants dominated global trade, new foods arrived from distant colonies: potatoes from the Americas, coffee from Africa, spices from Asia. The Netherlands became a melting pot of culinary and agricultural exchange. But instead of merely importing, the Dutch experimented. They adapted the potato to their cold, wet soils. They cultivated new strains of carrots. And it was here, in the 17th century, that the orange carrot as we know it today was born. Before that, carrots had been purple, yellow, or white. Dutch growers selectively bred orange varieties both for sweetness and as a patriotic tribute to the House of Orange, their royal family. What began as a symbol of national pride quietly reshaped the world's diet. The Dutch obsession with control and precision spread from root vegetables to every aspect of farming. In their greenhouses, some of the earliest in Europe, they experimented with temperature, light, and humidity. They realized that farming could defy seasons. Tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers could be coaxed to grow year-round. This mindset laid the foundation for what would, centuries later, become controlled environment agriculture, the same principles that power today's glass-roofed megafarms. But it wasn't just science. It was trade, the heartbeat of Dutch innovation. Amsterdam became a global hub for agricultural exchange. Seeds, tools, and techniques flowed in from every direction. The Dutch East India Company and the West India Company brought exotic plants and ideas home, while exporting their mastery of cultivation abroad. Tulips, once a curiosity from the Ottoman Empire, became both an obsession and an economic phenomenon. Tulip mania, often described as the first economic bubble, revealed how deeply farming, finance, and psychology had become intertwined in Dutch life. Even in speculation, they were pioneers. By the 18th century, the Netherlands was feeding its population with remarkable efficiency. Their dairy industry, rooted in precision grazing and selective breeding, produced butter and cheese that became European staples. The lush green meadows of Holland weren't natural. They were engineered landscapes, sustained by clever water management and crop cycles that maintained fertility. Cows thrived on nutrient-rich pastures, and the resulting dairy products became as iconic as windmills themselves. Yet the true revolution came centuries later. After World War II, the Netherlands faced hunger and devastation. Instead of despair, they responded with science. The government partnered with universities and farmers to create what would become the Wageningen model, an integration of research, education, and practical application. This collaboration transformed a small nation with limited land into the world's second-largest agricultural exporter, second only to the United States, a country more than 200 times larger. Modern Dutch agriculture became synonymous with efficiency. They developed greenhouse farming on an industrial scale, massive glass cities glowing through the night, powered by LED lights and climate-controlled systems. Inside, sensors measure moisture, nutrients, and carbon dioxide levels with surgical precision. Every drop of water is recycled, every inch of space used. Tomatoes grown in these environments use 90% less water than those grown traditionally, yet yield far more fruit. The Dutch also reimagined livestock farming. They designed vertical barns, reduced antibiotic use through better hygiene and monitoring, and pioneered sustainable animal welfare practices. Their farms became living laboratories for the world, blending technology with ethics. Now let's talk about the impact on specific foods, because this is where the Dutch story touches all of us. Take tomatoes. The Netherlands is the world's largest exporter of tomatoes, but not the sun-baked kind from Mediterranean fields. These are precision-grown, nutrient-optimized fruits cultivated in greenhouses that mimic perfect conditions every day of the year. Their flavor, size, and color are engineered through data. Each plant receives exactly what it needs, no more, no less. Then there's potatoes. Dutch scientists have created high-yield, disease-resistant varieties that can grow even in dry or saline soils, critical in feeding populations where climate change threatens food security. In many developing countries, these Dutch potato strains have doubled yields and reduced dependency on imports. Lettuce and leafy greens have also been revolutionized. Using hydroponic systems, a Dutch specialty, these crops grow in nutrient-rich water without soil. This innovation not only saves land, but also eliminates pesticides and allows farms to exist inside cities, even inside shipping containers. Urban agriculture, a concept once futuristic, is now reality thanks to Dutch design. And of course, flowers and seeds. The Netherlands became the seed capital of the world. From their laboratories come the genetic blueprints that determine how most of the world's vegetables grow: carrots, onions, peppers, cucumbers, and more. Every time a farmer in Africa or Asia plants hybrid seeds for a better yield, there's a trace of Dutch innovation behind it. The Dutch approach to farming is not just about output, it's about philosophy. They see the planet as a closed system, finite, delicate, interconnected. Their guiding principle: produce twice as much food with half as many resources. It's not just a slogan, it's measurable. Since the 1990s, Dutch farmers have reduced pesticide use by nearly 95% and cut water consumption dramatically, all while increasing production. Their mindset is global. Dutch greenhouses in the Middle East help desert nations grow fresh vegetables using desalinated water. Dutch engineers advise African governments on irrigation. Their innovations ripple across continents, sometimes quietly, sometimes dramatically, shaping what the world eats and how it eats it. Even climate change has not stopped their momentum. Rising seas, once their greatest enemy, are now part of their expertise. They design farms that can float, dikes that self-adjust, and crops that tolerate salt water. The same creativity that built polders in the 1600s now drives climate-resilient agriculture in the 21st century. So when you pick up a tomato in winter, or see lettuce grown without soil, or bite into a perfectly orange carrot, you're tasting centuries of Dutch persistence. You're tasting the outcome of a national obsession with survival turned into excellence. But perhaps the greatest achievement of Dutch agriculture isn't the technology, it's the culture of collaboration. Farmers, scientists, and policymakers work side by side. Decisions aren't made in isolation, but through networks of shared knowledge. Farming, in the Dutch view, is not an individual craft but a national mission, a conversation between land, water, and people. Their story reminds us that innovation isn't born in comfort. It grows out of struggle, out of mud, wind, and necessity. The Dutch had every reason to fail, yet they became masters of adaptation. They proved that the smallest country could feed the largest cities, that intelligence could outgrow limitations, and that sustainability could be profitable. And this is why the world continues to look toward the Netherlands not just for food, but for hope. In a century where droughts, floods, and population pressures threaten global food security, their model offers a way forward, efficient, ethical, and endlessly inventive. If this journey through time and innovation inspired you, remember to subscribe to the channel. Every story we tell here is a reminder that human creativity knows no borders. From the flooded fields of 17th century Holland to the high-tech greenhouses of today, it all begins with one idea: that even the smallest seed can change the world. Because the Dutch didn't just transform agriculture, they redefined what it means to grow. Seedling.